They are so severe and so strict that they make you die in that cell in silence day after day.
Are Japanese prisons the hell described by Mrs. Carol Gozin? The truth is, they are invisible and inaccessible. But after months of negotiations, we obtained an exceptional authorization to film in a penal institution on the other side of the country. Yamaguchi, in the southwest of the archipelago, the prison that the Japanese government agreed to show us. A model penitentiary, of course. But this will be the starting point of my investigation into the Japanese prison system. An authoritarian system with ultra-strict rules, moral violence. A machine capable of crushing inmates and changing them completely. There are no concrete walls here, no watchtowers, no barred windows. 620 detainees, most of whom are women. We will be allowed 2 days of an ultra-controlled visit.
Step forward for inspection.
Everything we film will be reviewed by several guards standing behind us at all times. The prison opened its doors to show us its modern programs, drawing classes, computer classes, cooking. Responsible inmates to whom even very sharp knives are entrusted. The guards have no weapons.
Yes, there are always risks of something going wrong, but there are barely any cases of violence, and we are unarmed.
And is that rule only in this prison?
No, it's the rule all over Japan. We guards practice martial arts so we can defend ourselves in case of a problem.
Another point of pride. The cells, modern and private, with Western-style beds. In other parts of Japan, inmates sleep on futons laid out on the floor. This was the case for Carlos Ghosn in the first days of his police custody.
Here is a television. Here is the bathroom. There, the sink. There is a towel underneath, and there is the bed. This is rare in Japan. And the desk is here.
We are surprised there are no bars on the windows. Is it a special window?
Yes, the glass is very strong. If, for example, someone takes this chair and tries to break the window, it won't give in. It's very strong.
No inmate has ever escaped from this prison. In 2011, for the first time in Japan, a daycare center was even opened on the grounds of the penitentiary, welcoming children from nearby villages. An exemplary, non-violent prison where inmates seem respected.
Form up!
However, we will soon discover its ultra-strict rules, the same as in all Japanese prisons. Never called by their name, inmates have a number that they must state when guards call roll. Every movement is strictly controlled, following an almost military discipline order.
Forward march!
The realm of total obedience. Inmates are not allowed to speak, to exchange, to communicate. Only during the 30 minutes of daily exercise are they allowed to whisper. Everything is timed. Meals last 13 minutes. When prisoners finish, they must wait for the buzzer.
Thank you for this meal.
Here, work is mandatory. During drawing class, you cannot speak directly to the teacher.
I request permission to speak with the instructor.
Granted.
It is forbidden to draw the prison or to evoke its history or their feelings. We will not know what inmates really think. But I contacted a former inmate of this prison. He is in Tokyo, now free to speak. To put his memories into images, I called on a manga artist. He worked in the world of prisons, and he will illustrate what Yamaguchi prison did not show us. Isidori spent 5 years in Yamaguchi Penitentiary. Released in 2017, he kept the same haircut he had in prison. In Japan, few people dare to criticize the penitentiary system. Isidori wishes to remain anonymous.
Even using a towel to wipe yourself in the summer when it's hot requires special permission. There is a time for that, and when that time is declared over, you have to stop.
Isidori had created a scam to make illegal money. And at 23, he ended up in jail. A universe where the slightest action is regulated minute by minute. Eating, drinking, washing, going to the bathroom, how to store your belongings, in what position to sleep. He is not even allowed to look out the window for too long. In France, as long as an inmate is not violent in his cell, he is free to occupy his time as he wishes, but not in Japan. Why do you think the guard asked you that?
When walking, the elbow must not be bent. You must keep it at a right angle with your body, and you must raise your hand to shoulder height. It was really annoying to do. To make group movements look orderly, they impose these movements on you. I never understood why. Even your fingers must not be bent, they must be straight, just because it looks better.
And why do you think the guards asked you to do that?
It is like a military march. They want your own body to submit to the rules. If you cannot follow such simple rules, it means you are not ready to reintegrate into society.
A highly structured Japanese society where the individual adjusts to the rules without complaining, where group values prevail over individual freedom. Japanese prison rules apply not only to convicts, but also to those who have not yet been tried, and even to those in simple police custody. This was revealed to the public during the detention of Carlos Ghosn. Now under house arrest in Tokyo, his communications are filtered by judges, and he does not feel free to speak to the media. But his wife, Carol Ghosn, agreed to an interview in New York, where she lives far from her husband, whom she has not been allowed to see since April 4th. Yet he is no longer detained. Carol Ghosn was heard as a witness in the case, and since then, the Tokyo court even forbids her from calling or writing to Carlos Ghosn. She rarely confides in journalists, but she agreed to talk about the long months of detention of the ousted CEO following his arrest.
They put him in prison, put him in pajamas, and took everything from him. There was no heating. It was very cold. And at first, he slept on the floor. He is in a room lit 24 hours a day, and they took away his watch to confuse him. 2 showers a week, and he went out half an hour a day, from Monday to Friday. He walked on a rooftop. He walked on the roof. And on weekends, they closed the door on him and slid the food under his door. They fed him, but he barely had any protein. They gave him soup with rice, and that was it. He lost 10 kilos the first week.
These supporting images sent by the penitentiary authorities claim that Carlos Ghosn is treated well, like everyone else. Clean cell, menus prepared by nutritionists, with vegetables and meat or fish at every meal. At that time, Carol Gosen had no right to visit her husband in the Tokyo Detention Center. After 3.5 months, she obtained visitation rights, 30 minutes in the room, 30.
This is the saddest place I have ever seen in my life. It was cold, freezing, cold, cold, gray, and silent. And we felt moral torture. He was in complete isolation. Thin hands, pale, very yellow. He was strong. He tried to smile at me, and I didn't want to show my sadness either. It is so severe and so strict that they let you die in silence.
The Japanese claim that their judicial system treats everyone equally. Do you think your husband is treated more harshly? Or is he treated like everyone else, after all?
Even if that's the case, I don't know. But even if he is treated like everyone else, it is super harsh, and it is a system made to break people. I don't want them to treat him as someone special, just to treat him well. I want them to treat everyone fairly. No human being should be treated like that. It is really unfair and not acceptable for a country that is part of the G7, that says it is a democracy, that sends UNICEF ambassadors around the world and wants to show that its people are civilized and good.
After all, Carlos Ghosn eventually received bail, a rare privilege in Japan, where normally defendants await trial and detention, sometimes for months or years. Carlos Ghosn's release is subject to very strict rules. His passport was confiscated, and he is not allowed to have a smartphone, and can only consult the internet at his lawyer's office.
Well, he's not free either. The prosecutors follow him everywhere. They know what he eats, where he goes, whom he speaks with. And that is not legal. They say it is not legal, but they do it. Yes, they do. It's unbelievable what they do to him. Why are they doing this? It's not possible. There is no justice. They do whatever they want, but they do not follow justice, and that is, they are above justice, Japanese prosecutors.
The monitoring of Carlos Ghosn by prosecutors is well organized by the Tokyo court. In Japan, the prosecutor's office actually has considerable power. In 99% of trials, judges follow their advice, and the accused is convicted. Carol Ghosn knows that her husband has little chance of being acquitted. This detention, however, was not exceptional. It does not only happen to wealthy CEOs, it can also affect ordinary citizens, tourists, or expatriates who commit a crime, even a minor one. Living for 2 years in Japan, Thomas works in nightlife and lived the nightmare of Japanese police custody. To avoid compromising his life in Japan, his identity will not be revealed. Arrested after several small shoplifting incidents and for fleeing a karaoke without paying, the 23-year-old Frenchman is taken to the police station, forbidden even to make a phone call. In France, his parents, terrified, imagine the worst. In Japan, his roommates look for him everywhere.
I tried calling him thousands of times, but no news. He disappeared. He had been missing for 5 days, and we were super worried about him.
After 6 days, the French embassy, already informed, alerted the family. Chota can go see Thomas. The Frenchman still had not been able to shower. He had only seen his lawyer once, appointed by the court.
It was so hard for him, so hard. I told myself, oh, why does he smell so bad? Looked very tired.
Like a vagabond.
Yes, like a vagabond.
In France, police custody lasts a maximum of 2 days, 6 in case of terrorist threats. Thomas would be detained 30 days for robbery with violence.
It is a very abrupt awakening. That's why they are shouting. They also used military language. So I didn't really understand Japanese, even though I speak it a little. They search you, they make you fold your futon. Of course, all in silence. You must be silent. You are not allowed to speak. You are also not allowed to look them in the eyes. You must always look down at a wall. And that is how the day goes. You must not speak, not make noise, not lean against a wall, not waste time walking or pacing in circles. I did it the first day, but they immediately told me to stop. At night, it was the worst. They leave the light on, even at night. There's always that neon there, which stays on even at night. They pass by your cell every 30 minutes, then they open the door, and that wakes you up because it is a steel door. They are looking at you. If you changed position, they wake you up because they cannot see your face. You have to show your face at all times. I felt like I had no time to rest, really.
A 24-hour watch to prevent detainees from harming themselves. But this explanation does not satisfy Thomas.
It is a kind of mental torture, I think. It has to be part of the process, I think. It is very psychological. They certainly will not beat you or abuse you. However, sometimes I was angry. I shouted. I even insulted them in French and everything. It focuses mainly on psychology, the mind. It is mental torture.
Like the prisoners of Yamaguchi and like Carlos Ghosn, Thomas is allowed 30 minutes of exercise a day. But when he leaves his cell or appears before the prosecutor, he is tied up.
In fact, there was a harness around my stomach, and then I had a strap that went through holes, like in this part. They were very tight, I remember. When I left the cell, it was hard to breathe well. They were very, very, very tight, and then I had handcuffs in front, also very tight. And they were connected to the harness holding the strap, with a guard in front and one behind. And I had to look at the floor or the walls, like a terrorist. I even had the impression of being, I don't know, a crazy person, a serial killer. I felt like I killed people. I felt like I had no rights, really. I had no rights. I wondered if they considered me human, really, or considered me a dog or a monster, I don't know.
He was told he faced up to 7 years in prison. His lawyer estimated a 1-year prison sentence. But thanks to several apology letters, particularly from his parents, Thomas was released without a prison sentence. It is considered a miracle.
I had to admit that. I will never go back there for anything in the world. That you understood your lesson. And that is perhaps the only positive point of this, of course. It is horrible. But that you will never go back there. That it is hell. It is hell. You change a lot. There is a before and after. You adjust to the rules.
Thomas came out of jail more scared than harmed. He decided to stay in Japan because he still loves this country. Others will show us an even more brutal face of Japanese prisons. In Japan, few people are interested in the fate of former prisoners. In Osaka, the third largest city in the country, a woman tries to help them. Convicted 4 times for possession of narcotics, Remi Nakano spent 12 years in prison. She runs a nightclub where former prisoners used to work as waitresses. Among her customers are women and men marked by prison, sometimes families of detainees whom she advises.
In prison, if you want to offer a tissue to an inmate who doesn't have one, it's a violation of the rules. If you want to give some of your food to another inmate, that is also prohibited. The difficulty in prison are things that are obvious in the normal world. Even kindness or altruism are not allowed.
Tonight, 2 men. One of them is a former Yakuza, those famous gangsters of the Japanese mafia. Kabo and Naoki spent time in very strict prisons, without a fan in summer, without heating in winter, in a country with extreme temperatures.
In winter, we had -1 or -2 degrees Celsius. We were freezing. Since the walls were concrete, I think it was even colder inside than outside. We were 6 in the same cell. If someone read a newspaper, the simple act of folding the newspaper created a draft of icy air. The others would shout, "Hey, be careful, we're freezing!" And we would start arguing. The hardest part was for the inmates who were 60, 70 years old. I was young, but some only had a t-shirt and caught colds or illnesses like pneumonia.
These former inmates also experienced punishment dungeons, the size of a bed if they did not respect the rules.
You have to sit like this and keep your hands like this. If you put your hands like this or under your buttocks in winter, you get scolded. If you lower your eyes, they scold you. If you look up, you get a kick, and the guard shouts, "Look straight ahead." You must sit in this motionless position from 6 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon.
These isolations can last several weeks. For the more defiant inmates, several months. A harsh but effective system is the argument of the Japanese authorities. Crime rates in Japan are among the lowest in the world. In proportion to the population, there are half as many prisoners in Japan as in European countries and 15 times fewer than in the United States. This expert has worked for 12 years in Japanese penitentiaries. She visits them regularly.
When I talk with French prison specialists, they say that Japanese prison is like a prison in France a century ago. And I totally agree. These military marches, all these regulations, this very precise daily routine allow for efficiently managing a maximum number of prisoners with minimal guards. They prioritize the respect of human rights norms.
According to Megumi Yasuda, the Japanese prison administration does not seek to humiliate prisoners, belittle them, or destroy them. But she considers that during their sentence, they must give up some of their most fundamental rights.
The underlying philosophy here is that prison is, above all, punishment. It is not a training center. The Japanese are not like Europeans, attached to the idea that every prisoner is a human being and must be treated as a human being.
Amnesty International for Human Rights, and even in 2007, the UN Committee Against Torture asked for the harshest treatments to stop. But the reports of these international organizations are not binding. The Japanese authorities simply turn a deaf ear. However, voices are rising in Japan against this system that can destroy lives. This is the story of Iwao Hakamada, which moved to Japan. This 80-year-old man, who in his youth was a professional boxer, he spent 47 years behind bars. He is the longest imprisoned convicted man in the world. Every day, Mr. Hakamada takes a 5-hour walk through the streets of Hamamatsu, southwest of Tokyo. In 1968, he was sentenced to hanging for a quadruple murder. But in 2008, DNA tests raised serious doubts about his guilt. Released 5 years ago, he is awaiting a new trial. Volunteers decided to help him, like the woman with the blue hat who watches over him during his walk.
The other day, I asked him why he walked like this. In fact, he patrols to check that there are no thieves. He now enjoys freedom. I think freedom is the best treatment for him.
Half a century in total isolation has driven him insane. Mr. Hakamada no longer speaks. He greets signs, children, models. In shopping malls, he feels good. He loves colors and life. On the other hand, he distrusts men and fences that remind him of prison, a ghost world that he has not fully escaped from.
Dinner is ready. Come eat, please. Come.
Today, Iwao Hakamada lives with his sister. She fought all her life for his release. In turn, volunteers from the support committee come to help them at home.
He always closes this door after you eat and rest in the living room. It's not because you're there. It's his world. That's all. He doesn't care about the people passing by. In reality, He has returned home, but he has also brought his world with him. And I don't think that will change.
Doctors say that the former boxer suffered traumatic shock due to the incarceration conditions of death row inmates. In Japan, they are not notified of their execution until the very morning of their execution, and the families find out after the hanging.
Every prisoner in his cell listens to the footsteps of the guards. If the footsteps stop in front of your cell, it means it's your turn. Until 9 in the morning, the condemned do not know if it is their last day. They live in daily anguish of dying. It is so cruel, so painful for the people who are there. One day, the footsteps stopped in front of Hakamada's neighbor's cell. He only said to him, "Take care," and they took him away. This was a shock for Hakamada, and that was when he lost his mind.
From his cell, Iwao Hakamada wrote thousands of letters to his sister. These are proof of his mental deterioration.
Look there. In red ink, he wrote, "I am God. I am the Son of God. I control the universe." We no longer understood anything in his letters.
Iwao Hakamada thought he was God, an immortal being who could not be executed. He took refuge in an imaginary world.
When we told him that his case was going to be tried again, he said, "These people talk nonsense. It's all lies. Please leave me." He couldn't believe it. When he was released, he had no smile nor tears on his face, not the slightest expression.
Machiko's mission now is to bring him back to life. Every smile is a victory for her.
This is my secret weapon. For years, this man did not feel human tenderness. I tried to help him find his emotions. Society abandoned him, and as a member of society, I feel responsible. We are happy that he is alive and back with us. That's what I want to convey with this massage. That is the message I want to convey to them.
At 83 years old, Iwao Hakamada has not been acquitted. Convinced of his guilt and despite his state of health, the prosecutor is trying to send him back to prison.